Welcome back to China Price Watch. Moving on to Consumer Corner, where we take a look at trends creating a buzz online in China. On today's show, we will look at what Chinese internet users have to say about China's huge tourism deficit. Now that December has arrived, the traditional shopping season for both Westerners and Chinese is also here. Stores in many countries are busy launching Christmas sales or end-of-the-year promotions. And for Chinese tourists, this is something they look forward to all year. 2009 witnessed the first tourism deficit for China. The deficit value is about $2 billion US, and that number is expected to surpass $100 billion US this year. This makes China the country with the largest tourism deficit in the world. In recent years, sweeping goods overseas has been an almost indispensable part of Chinese traveling abroad. Traveling overseas is not only about purchasing luxury goods, the shopping spectrum also includes many middle and low-end products. The products sold overseas often excel both in price and quality. For example, an LV handbag that is priced at $1,300 US at a duty-free store in South Korea can be sold for $200 US more in domestic stores. And occasionally, when buying in mainland China, you must wait in a long line because of supply shortages. So many people feel buying an airplane ticket and purchasing it abroad is the same price or cheaper. Naturally, shopping overseas constitutes the bulk of tourist expenditure and the principal motivation for traveling abroad. A recent report shows Chinese tourists spend an average of $3,200 US per person per trip, in which almost 60% is spent on shopping. Last year, Chinese citizens spent almost $1,400 US per person traveling abroad, which is 3 times the expenditure of incoming tourists. On the other hand, most incoming travel in China is mainly for sightseeing, while the goods or souvenirs are not attractive enough for them, only further expanding the deficit. Among all the foreign cities where Chinese tourists go, Seoul ranks the top in terms of Chinese tourist expenditure. South Korea has also become the world's #1 duty-free shopping destination. The sales volume of its duty-free transactions has surpassed $5 billion US by the end of last year, which accounted for almost 10% of the global market. Against the gloomy economic backdrop, South Korea's duty-free sales and hotel sales surged. That can mainly be attributed to the flood of Chinese consumers. Chinese tourists spend on average $2,300 US per person when traveling to South Korea. Experts say the staggering number for China's tourism deficit is a reflection of the price bubble in China. The biggest factor behind overseas travel frenzies is the price gap of international brands sold in the domestic and overseas market. The tariffs, advertisement expenditures, agent fees, and logistic fees all have been pushing up the price of domestically sold brands. A recent survey from the Ministry of Commerce showed that for the 20 most popular imported high-end products, including watches, bags, clothes, wine, and electronic devices, prices in mainland China are 45% higher than that in Hong Kong, 51% higher than that in the US, and 72% higher than that in France. In an effort to address the expanding tourism deficit, the Haitangwan CDF Mall in Hainan Sanya has high expectations. But the shopping amount cap, as well as the inflexibility of refund policies, have plagued its prospects. Most Chinese people blame high taxes levied on imported products. One wrote, quote,
"The price gap is obviously why people scramble to fly abroad for travel and shopping. This also indicates the gigantic potential demand of Chinese consumers, which is simply waiting to be unleashed."
Some say it is reasonable that sightseeing spots are no longer attractive, considering the worsening environment. One wrote, quote,
"Besides shopping, the power of sightseeing alone is heavily impeded given the frightening smog in Beijing. Who wants to come?"
Some call for betterment of domestic tourism markets. One wrote, quote,
"The intolerable crowdedness, absurdly high ticket prices, and all-around rip-offs in these scenic spots are forcing people out and making them travel to other countries."
China is one of the countries in the world with the least number of public holidays. However, the shopping-based outbound travel makes for the biggest tourism deficit globally. It is hard to tell whether the trend will be reversed as more efforts are being made to remedy it.